Okay, well, it was that interest that I had in the latest writing of yours, and my feeling that it needed to address some of the knowledge that you've already generated. And you were just saying to me that what continues to motivate you in the ongoing inquiry as you set up the centre, for the child and family, well, there's already experiences of yours where, and you could take it up from here in one sense, where there was your feeling that I got that in dealing with the children in care, that there was something in the system that was inappropriate in terms of enhancing, and you'll have to, give me your own language here, but it was like the sense of the well-being of the children in care. And how over those 40 years, Rachel has had a similar experience that you had and could recognise 40 years ago. So there's still an urgent need, to enhance the quality of the experiences of the children in care. So you've now moved over those 40 years, you've done your doctorate, you've got knowledge that's already been recognised as being original, so you've generated. And it was just, in one way, to take up the story from there. It was just saying, well, can we get on the inside of what's continuing to motivate you? But also recognising that you have been judged as having made an original contribution to knowledge, and you know that it's still being related to a very profound desire to,
Okay. Can I just start from where I think we started from, which was your question to me that was asking me, or saying to me that you felt that I should be using the original knowledge that I created in my thesis more in my writing. And I think I was saying that I didn't necessarily feel that to be too relevant, as I felt I was continuing my inquiry that was building on and emerging from what I'd written rather than what I'd already written. And that it was in seeking to build on that knowledge that I found myself in a situation that was very difficult for me. And as you're just saying now, the one bit that I was very clear about with it, that I do return to in my thesis, is what started me off in the first place, is that what started my inquiry was my experience of being in residential childcare and feeling that I didn't have the knowledge to help those young people in care in their distress. And what was even more salutary was that nearly 40 years later on, Rachel has also been in residential childcare, and nothing has really improved in the quality of life of those young children. In real terms, there's still a lot of distress and upset, and she had a very difficult experience as a residential social worker. Where I feel the changes come from me personally is that although the knowledge that I have created, or what I did in my thesis, hasn't given me the knowledge to actually make that change, so I don't feel at this moment in a position to change that experience beyond people in care. What I do feel I now have is a far greater knowledge and understanding of how that could be achieved. And through a continuing action research, living theory approach, I would like to be able to contribute to the knowledge creation that allows for that kind of change to take place. But it cannot happen as things structurally are at the moment. And the real problem that I have found is this real division, this gap between the academy and the professions, between the university and the professional world. So I felt that where I was outside there, once I finished my PhD, I needed to inform or continue my knowledge creation in that academic world in order to influence the whole process of knowledge creation. But that as a professional, not having access to journals, not having access to university library, etc., I couldn't do that. So my only option really was to join the academy itself as a full-time member of staff. But I did that on the basis that I could create the Centre for the Child and Family. And what I wanted to do right from the outset, and what I'm seeking to do, is to create it as a third space between the academy and the profession. And this is why it's been set up as a research inquiry in its own right, because I don't see anywhere that third space that has been created. So in this initial paper I've been writing that has generated this conversation, what I identified was you get the major educational conferences such as BERA and ERA, and the people who attend them are academics and write articles that stay in that place. And then there's this very, very major conference taking place in London on integrated children's services, where you have virtually every profession represented under the sun, a wide range of speakers, but no one in there who's an academic, and in the suggested people who should attend, there's, people from universities are not even mentioned as a possibility. So it absolutely excludes anyone from an academic world. So this important, significant conference in relation to integrated children's services for professionals doesn't even recognise as valid any kind of academic contribution. So those two different worlds exist, and the Centre for the Child and Family seeks to create this third space that brings those two together. Can you just stop that for a moment?
Yeah.
Is there anything I said before that I haven't brought out?
I don't think so at all. I think the curiosity that I have is connected to that journey of yours in terms of your doctorate, of how you clearly bridged a separation between the sense of a professional and the academic. So the narrative that you produced brought together a life story, which was very much about finding meaning in a human existence, overcoming difficulties, and at the same time making an original contribution to knowledge. So you've actually worked through, in a narrative inquiry, using action research, something which has helped to bridge that divide. And it was just that feeling that...
And I think there's another element in that, Jack, which did come through in my thesis and actually came through in my viva. Also something I really believe, which is what is coming through in what I'm doing at the moment, is that people have theories about life and they live their life, and the two don't really connect together that much. And obviously you, with your living theory, are bringing that very, very much together, or seeking to do that, which is why I connected with that through my thesis. But where it had a very practical application in my viva was that the way I was exploring it in my thesis was to develop a spiritual path that had some kind of meaning for me, and I was being challenged in my viva about why I hadn't used more writers who were talking about spirituality, and I basically said, because I don't want to talk about it, I'm interested in people who are learning about a spiritual path through living it. And actually there's very, very few writers who've done that. It's only, as far, I could identify two key people who had explored it academically in great depth and lived it experientially and shared that experience in great depth. And in a sense, although that was a different aspect of my life, what I'm taking, and they accepted that, the examiners ultimately accepted that there was, I was trying to do something different. I wasn't just exploring why spirituality was important to me theoretically, or why it was becoming much more talked about, if you like, in the world out there. They did understand that what I was trying to do was to develop a spiritual understand, a way of being that had some kind of academic or theoretical underpinning to it. Now it's that kind of approach I'm trying to bring into childcare practice. I actually think that all practitioners with children should be developing their understanding, a very